Okay. So Mav is asking, how do you overcome boredom when you know the Bible so well? Once you know the stories, how do you go deeper in faith?
So Mav or Maeve, this is something that I personally can relate to because I went through the same thing. But I remember being this, even in adulthood and even as a teen, where I just got to a point where I'm going to church, I'm hearing the same stories every week, and I felt like, okay, I know everything. There's nothing new to get. But I was making some big mistakes, and then some things happened that just totally changed my life and changed my relationship so that no longer was the Bible boring. So what I'm about to share are things that work for me. I don't know exactly your situation, but if it is similar to mine, I think hopefully these will give you plenty to work with. So giving you my top 10 list of things that have gotten me to really enjoy the Bible and have a deeper faith. So number one, read and study for yourself. Now, everybody repeats the same old stories, the same verses, same highlighted facts, same perspective, same messages. And it really gives this false sense that you know it all and they know it all. And there's just a small universe of facts and things to know in the Bible. Whereas when you're reading for yourself, you're going to see new details emerging, new patterns, new context, and every time you're getting something new. And so that's the first really big one. And if you're ready reading, ready studying, you're not getting that, then let's talk about some of the others. Number two, prayer. Prayer is essential. Pray for the will to read, pray for it to be interesting, and pray for new revelations. And again, this will open amazing doors. This is the type of prayer that God loves to answer. And God says, if you ask, he will give. We receive not because we ask not. Number three is typology. This is an important concept that just blew my brain. And once I understood it and the significance of what it meant, suddenly I realized the Bible is a bottomless pit in the sense of what all it holds and the treasures to explore. It's just going to be a never-ending cave to explore. So what do I mean by typology? So this is getting into the concept of trying to understand the symbols that are going on in the Bible. And there's all sorts of symbolism. You could just look at how is light, how is fire, how is wind being used in the Bible? How about baptism? What is the meaning behind baptism or circumcision, or maybe studying the Day of Atonement, figuring out what does that mean? What is that pointing to? And typology can go beyond just these symbols to even how God has used people's stories, the stories of people, to also be kind of like symbols and tell us of something to come. So for example, we've talked before about the life of Samson and how there's many parallels between Samson and Jesus, or David and Jesus, or Abraham. Abraham's story might mirror other things. So, or take, for example, the story of Israel and how that also can parallel what's going on with the Christian church. So there's just no limit to when you start realizing that there's deeper truths and even symbols within the very stories that are written there in the Bible. It's mind-blowing. Now, the next one to me, this again opened up the Bible in a whole new way, got me super excited about it, is Christology. This is a fancy word for studying appearances of Jesus, especially in the Old Testament. A lot of people think Jesus just showed up in the New Testament. That's the first time he's there, but he's actually appearing again and again and again and again throughout the Old Testament. So if you go on an Easter egg hunt looking for Jesus in the Old Testament, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Number 5 is study the original Greek or Hebrew and the context of the words there. Because now you're going to realize that the translations you're seeing in English actually are leaving out a whole lot. And when you start trying to think like a Greek or think like a Hebrew, now you're realizing, these words used are so much richer and deeper than we even get any clue just reading the English translation. And then the next one is, so number 6 is mix and match the modes of studying. This one helped me so much where, let's say I'll be listening on audiobook. So going through the Bible in audiobook, just let's say from start to finish, not chronologically, but as it appears in the Bible. And then meanwhile, I might be studying that day also a specific topic in a hardbound Bible or one that I'm reading or in an app. And then I might be also listening to sermons by other people who are going really deep into Bible verses. And then I might also be reading in books and commentaries. And when you're just taking in knowledge and ideas and thoughts from so many directions, you're going to now start seeing more patterns emerge that you might not have otherwise. And now dots get connected, like, I remember this from this and this from here. And just because of seeing things in a different randomized order and setting you up to get information from multiple directions, now you're going to have, again, amazing things happening. Then number 7, look for overarching themes. There's so many common threads and repeating concepts throughout the Bible, and just pick one of those and study it. Like the concept of separating or holiness, the concept of standing. This is sort of like the typology I mentioned earlier. Or just look up all the Bible verses that use the word law and love together. Maybe I've done that one, and that blew my brain. And then you could just even research like people's names and the significance of name. There's just no limit to the different types of topics you can study in these repeating themes. And again, once you really master these themes, you're really grounding yourself in solid theology, because you're just seeing how the Bible's so internally consistent, and you're getting the bigger picture. Then number 8 is discover deep topics you are interested in. What are you really passionate about, even in life in general? And then try to become the world expert in those 2 or 3 biblical topics. So, for example, probably the big ones for like Winnie and I has been mental health and the law of love. And so when we're reading the Bible, we're really trying to focus on, okay, what is this verse teaching me about mental health, and this one about love? Number 9, make a treasure chest of your favorite Bible verses. So as you're reading, just gather them, store them. You could categorize them. And then when you need, you got these quick Bible studies that you could refer back to. So just think of you're going on this treasure hunt or collecting Easter eggs, and then you're storing them somewhere. And then lastly, number 10, try to make Bible studies, video content, or otherwise try to teach people the Bible. Because once you're trying to teach it, that's when you're really going to start noticing the gaps in your knowledge. And you're also going to get much more familiar with having to develop a vocabulary, building better habits of trying to understand the Bible. And that's really going to help you grow too. So that's my top 10. Hope that's really helpful. Wendy, Tina, do you have any other suggestions?
Tina?
Honestly, that was super on point. It was like a perfect, list of things that were super helpful. And I guess as far as, um, I guess I've never gone to that point where the Bible has gotten boring to me. And I've read it cover to cover. I've read it forward and back. Right now I'm reading it backwards. I read it, forward to back. I was like, let me try writing it back to front. And it's actually been really, really interesting. And so, I've been studying the Bible, every single day for like 24 years now, over 24 years, and I'm not bored. And so, I guess I can't relate in that aspect, but I guess it's because I've always found some link, something new, something deeper that I didn't see before. As I read and reread the same, passages, I still see new things. And I will say 2 things that I don't think you can ever really exhaust. The stories in the Old Testament are beautiful. Even the New Testament stories, very beautiful. I love all the stories. However, if you really want to dig deep, I'd say study the books of Daniel and Revelation, which is obviously prophecy. If you are bored with prophecy, we need to have a chat because I don't think you can get bored of the book of Revelation or the book of Daniel. They are just so deep and so complex. You really have to know the Bible inside and out to really fully understand both of those books. And I have to say, in all honesty, I don't really feel that I've mastered them at all, even though I've studied them every single day. And I've made it a point to study those 2 books specifically every day for the last 10 years almost now. And so, no, 11 years now. My goodness, it's been a long time. So, again, I would say 1, study prophecy, because what you're going to find is some beautiful truth. And if you are If those don't, ring your bell, I would say, study the messianic prophecies of the Old Testament and see where you can find Jesus in the Old Testament. Because when I think of the Bible, what changed my view was when somebody told me that the theme of the Bible is Jesus. And when I looked for Christ in the Bible, I started seeing so many new and beautiful things, Old Testament and New Testament, cover to
That was a
cover.
big one for me.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So I would just say, that would be my recommendation too, because that opened up the Bible to me in a more real and meaningful way as well, connecting to God. And so that would be what I would suggest. And again, like just read the book of Psalms. You're going to find dozens of things that you've never seen before, how they connect to Jesus. And it's so beautiful. So, and really you see him Genesis to Revelation. So that would be what I would add.
And we'll give a little hint here. When you see references to angel of the Lord, many times that is referring to pre-incarnate Jesus. So have fun with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's not always Jesus, but
Yeah, not
just
always, but
yeah.
many, many, many times.
Yep.
And Jesus is not an angel. Jesus is God. We're just make sure we put that out there.
Angel just means messenger, by the way, too.
Yes, exactly.